Well, good evening, everybody. How are we all doing tonight? Hopefully everybody's got themselves a nice cold beverage or a hot beverage, and you're ready for a show that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. Well, maybe not so much, but we got a great evening planned for y'all. Just like to welcome everybody back to a new season of Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show. This is episode 14, and I'm your host, Dennis, also known as Canoehound, hence the name Canoehound Adventures. Hope everyone had a fantastic holiday season, and I'd like to wish you all a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2020. And let's all move into this new year with some vigor and some roar, and get outdoors and explore a little. As you know, Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show is a weekly live stream show that brings you closer to the great outdoors. And the show is geared towards bringing you hot topics and interviews with YouTube creators and outdoor personalities that you guys and gals all love to watch and enjoy. We're here live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. So make sure you mark that on your calendars, because over the next month, we do have a few great guests coming up and a couple of really exciting shows. So mark it on your calendars. Make sure you got all that neat stuff going there. I see the stream is already populating quite well. Hello, everybody that's popping in. I'll go through a few names here in a few minutes. Have a little bit of interesting news. Over the holidays, Canoehound Adventures celebrated our first anniversary of revamping the channel. And over the past year, I've grown the channel to over 1,250 subscribers. I've shot and posted over 50 adventure, review, and various other videos, and hosted over 35 live streams. So it's been a pretty busy year. On October the 9th, we started this new live stream show, Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show, and it seems to be gaining popularity. And, thanks very much to the fantastic guests and, of course, our subscribers for, the direction that Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show is headed. It's very encouraging to know that I get responses and emails and Facebook Messenger posts and comments in the video section there from all of you, and it's getting this encouragement, and it's a good feeling inside to know that I'm not spinning my wheels in the mud, so to say. For those of you that might be new to the live stream here, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps keep the dream alive, of course, and if you're liking the video or the live stream tonight, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, because it does go a long way with helping to build the channel and get us more recognized here on YouTube. And of course, if you want to know what's going on in the future there, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Once again, if you have any hot topics that you would like to see on the show here, because I'm working very hard at getting some great personalities on the show here, so you can learn more about them, drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com. That way there, I've got something to go by, and it's worked for me a few times, because, I can't think of everybody that I want to ask to be on the show. But when you're putting your input in, it really, really helps. So yeah, drop me any ideas that you may have. It doesn't even have to be with a guest. If there's a topic that you'd like to discuss, like when we talked about winter camping or canoe tripping and stuff like that, it's, these are the kind of shows that we like to bring you. And let's see here. Before I invite tonight's guest onto the show, I just like to announce a couple of upcoming shows that we have here in January. On January 14th, for those of you that are fans of the popular YouTube channel Adrenaline Adventures, we'll be having Scott on the show next week, and we'll find out what's going on with his YouTube channel. And I know he's got a pretty cool project in the works right now, where he's building a cordwood cabin. So if you're not familiar with that, check out Adrenaline Adventures, and you will see what Scott's up to over there. And then on January 21st, we'll be joined by President PJ Justison and Vice President Tierney Angus from the Friends of Temagami to discuss current issues related to the Solus Wildlands and the area of Temagami. And you won't want to miss that show either, because there's a lot going on up in that very popular area. So by all means, be around for that. And last but not least, as you know, this show is very interactive. I like participation by everybody in the chat, and you are more than welcome throughout the evening here to provide a question for our guest or myself. We'll be happy to answer any of that. But if you put a question in the chat, please put the word question in capitals before so I could identify it easily. I could get it up on the screen. And myself or my guest would be more than happy to get that across to you. So let's see. I guess that gets us over to our guest with 23 people in. I think we've populated enough. Let's see here. Tonight's guest is an avid outdoors enthusiast who fell in love with the Georgian Bay coast during his visit to the French River in 2000. Ever since, he and his paddling partners have spent numerous, but never enough, spectacular days exploring the unique region of Ontario, paddling the rugged shoreline in search of islands and hidden inlets to fish, explore, and pitch their tents in. When not paddling, my guest is busy organizing the Ontario Backcountry Canoe Symposium and the Ontario Winter Camping Symposium that are both held at the University of Waterloo in Ontario. Please welcome to the show my guest, David Bain. David, how are you tonight?
Oh, we're doing well, Dennis. Thanks very much for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining in. I know I come to your Winter Camping Symposium, and ever since then, now you have a fan. Fan for life.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, as are a lot of the familiar names I'm seeing here in the chat already. Kelly Camps, Tom, Pine Martin, and numerous others. Yeah, cool. Tell everybody a bit about yourself.
Well, I am a resident of Kitchener. I grew up in this area of southern Ontario, so naturally canoeing is not it's not a hotbed of canoeing by any stretch of the imagination. And so I didn't really have any canoeing background and didn't go to camp as a kid. Got into canoeing when I was in my 30s and did, the usual first trip to Algonquin, North Tea Lake. But our second trip back in the mid-90s was to David Lake in Killarney, and that pretty much set the tone for the rest of my 26 years of flatwater canoeing. Killarney and the Georgian Bay coast to me are just world class and unique and certainly for a lot of that time underused. I mean, I remember going to the French River before it became an operating park, and it was there weren't a lot of people around. It was just a wonderful place to go, and so that's where my heart lies as a canoeist. I know a lot of people are into Algonquin, which is great, and there's lots of other great places to go, and there's Crown Land, as Pine Martin will tell you, and he's promised to show me some great spots, and I'm eager to learn. But most of my experience has been along Killarney and along the coast there, and that's certainly my thing. I'm a flatwater canoeist. I've done the Nahanni River in the Northwest Territories, but that was on a guided trip, so it was a fantastic experience. But those rapids were certainly more than I would have tackled on my own.
Right.
And I'm a canoe camper more than a canoe tripper. So I know a lot of people are into doing loops, and they go out for 5 days or 6 days, and they have 5 or 6 different campsites. But the group of guys I go with, we find a spot, we put down our tents, and then we day trip from there and really kind of get to know a place. And I think that has worked really well for us. I think it's a style that we enjoy, and so we but everybody's different. Everybody's got their own thing they like to do, and that's just sort of my background as a canoeist. But again, I came to it quite late in life. I didn't canoe till I was in my 30s, and so I'm trying to make up for lost time, especially now that I'm retired. So
there you go. And now you have lots of time on your hands to do that.
I've got a bit more time. Yeah.
Do you have a preference between solo and tandem canoeing?
I just got into solo about 3 years ago, and I originally soloed with my 16-foot wood canvas Canadian Canoe Company canoe. I love that canoe, a big heavy brute, and I got into it up in the Haliburton Highlands water trail area there, the Poker Lakes Loop and so on, and I gotta say I enjoy that a lot. I think it's a different thing, and I enjoy both. I have a group of guys I go with every year for a week. We went up to Temagami this past August, and canoeing with 3 or 4 other people is one thing, and then soloing is something else. And I haven't done as much soloing yet as I have tandem, obviously. So, but I am enjoying it, and I certainly hope to do more of it.
Awesome. That's awesome. The one area I've never canoed, I've been canoeing for many years too, and I have never done Killarney Park and never been into Georgian Bay or French River up that area even, I always go
so
farther.
Available along the coastline there. And I mean, I'm judging by the people you have on your feed here, there's some who are, more experienced even than I am to talk about it. I mean, I'm just this guy, but there are people on your feed who have been there. I know Pine Martin and I checked out a place called the Giroux River this past spring, and he went back after we went there and went down to the bay. And so, there's certainly lots of fantastic canoeing along there. And it's a lot of people hear Georgian Bay coast and they think of Georgian Bay as this big wide open water and it's dangerous and you have to worry about the wind coming up. And that's true if you're in areas where that's a concern. But if you can find the areas that are in behind islands, that are tucked into channels, that are, sort of sheltered from the winds and so on, it's a fantastic destination. And there's certainly lots of ways to get to the Georgian Bay coast, down, say, the Moon River or through McCrae Lake or near Franklin Island coming out of Snug Harbor that are quite sheltered and they're not something that you have to sort of risk life and limb to enjoy that scenery.
Right. Wow, that's cool. I'm just going to pop something on the screen here because I think it's pretty cool, and it'll get us into the next segment here. Good old Hap Wilson's offering everybody a shot. So anybody that would like a shot, if you have them, crack them open now.
Yeah.
And we'll propose a toast to
Canadian beer, but
thanks for getting going there, Hap. Yep, that's all cool stuff. Like I said, that's an area I'd really like to start exploring. Maybe I'll talk to my regular canoe partner and see if we might check out that area this year.
Well, I mean, Killarney's one thing. Killarney is unbelievable scenery and hiking, and so you canoe into one of the more popular lakes like Killarney Lake or OSA Lake, or and you put down your site or you find a site, and then you hike, and that is the hiking is really second to none. It's something that we enjoy a lot. We get up on the quartzite domes near the different popular lakes, and you hear people talk about hiking to the Crack. There are other off the beaten path hikes that you can do that are just spectacular in there, and certainly it's. I think again, it's world class. Honestly, it's just so unique, and but unfortunately, it's becoming more and more popular all the time. And you kind of think back to the good old days of the mid '90s when you could book a site without too much competition, and those days are certainly gone now.
Yeah. And I think that's why Pine Martin himself really likes the Crownland camping stuff. Right? You don't have to worry about the permits and stuff like that.
No permits and certainly no crowds. And of course, once you find a spot, though, you have to be very careful about the balance between keeping it a secret and potentially, if it's that balance we run into in Ontario all the time, and they run into it up in Temagami, where if you document canoe routes, then you have evidence to try and get them protected from logging and so on. Mm-hmm. If you have a favorite canoe route, but you don't tell anybody, it's not going to get that protection, or doesn't have the potential to get that protection. And so we walk that constant fine line between, hey, I've found a really great secluded spot and I want to keep it all to myself, but it's open to resource extraction and so on, and maybe we need to publicize it. And that's what Kevin Callum's done with his Lost Canoe Routes books, where you try and get people back into these areas so that they gain a reputation for recreational canoeing, so that's on the table when the discussions happen as to what to do with these areas. Do you make them a park? Do you leave them the way they are so that resource extraction can happen? and again, as we reach the 21st century, it's a huge concern, and it's something we need to be aware of.
Yep. So now that, I guess, almost kind of leads us into the real reason why we're here tonight, not to talk about Killarney so much, but I really wanted to talk tonight about your upcoming Backcountry Canoe Symposium.
Looking forward to it. April the 4th. Coming up sooner than we think. I got
my first taste of your symposiums there with the winter camping one here, just a month or so, a month and a half ago.
We can guarantee you an equally good time. Yeah. No, it's going to be great. And actually, your listeners here tonight are going to get a bit of an exclusive, because we've announced one or two of our speakers, but we're going to take the time here tonight to talk about all 5 of our speakers, or actually there's 6, because one of them is a duo. And so people who are listening to your stream here are going to get some firsthand news of who's going to be talking, and I'm very excited actually by both the topics and the speakers. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. So if you like, I can start going through who's speaking, and
let us have it, man. Let us have it.
Okay, well, I'll start with the ones we've already mentioned. Our first speaker that we announced was John. And it's funny, today I actually texted him, said, John, how do you say your last name? Because I know how it's spelled, but wasn't too sure. He said, it's a translation. Nobody says it. I don't even say it right. So anyway, it's Babulik, who runs Backcountry Custom Canoes in Guelph. And I own 2 Backcountry Custom Canoes myself. I've seen a lot more of them popping up on the internet as people become aware of them and buy them. But John's not going to talk about his canoes. That's not why he's coming. He'll have a display there, but he's actually coming to talk about his real passion in life, which is this. He is not only an avid fisherman, but he's a very successful fisherman. He catches lake trout consistently, and he does it using methods that I, as a pathetic fisherman, which is what I am not familiar with. And so he's going to come for his period of time at the symposium and teach us how to fish from a canoe, which I am greatly looking forward to, because when I go on our group trips, the other 2 guys, they skunk me every time. They're pulling in. This past time we went to Florence Lake in Temagami, and they landed between them something like 40 lake trout, and I caught 1. And so clearly I need John's help, and so he's coming to talk about fishing from a canoe. Our second speaker is Scott Robinson, who some of you may know him as the owner and proprietor of Man Camping. And when I first heard about man camping, I thought, that's a little bit sexist. But in fact, Scott pointed out, and if you read his description of what man camping is not a gender thing. It's a lack of preparation thing. And I can certainly attest to that. I've done some man camping in my time where you discover that thing I really wish I had, like half the food or something, was left at home. So Scott's coming, and he's actually going to talk about Quetico. We've never had a speaker talk about Quetico. It's certainly an A-list destination here in Ontario, and even though you have to go a little ways from our part of Ontario to get to it, past Thunder Bay, it is a go-to destination, and certainly, again, world-class canoeing available there. And we've never had anybody discuss it. So Scott's going to come in and fill us in on Quetico.
Bucket list.
Is that behind you there?
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah, definitely. I think now that I'm retired and I could actually contemplate the drive, which is from where you and I are, it's about 18 hours, I think, to get to Thunder Bay. So it's a real commitment of time. But from what I've read about it, and certainly a lot of the books that got me into canoeing, once I had a small taste of it, I started reading a lot. And Sigurd Olsen and some of the other authors I read were always talking about either the Boundary Waters canoe area in the States or Quetico in Canada. And so I think it's about time we had somebody talk about it. And so I'm really pumped to have Scott come and do that. Okay, those are the 2 we had announced already. And we've got 3 that we haven't talked about yet. It's always a treat to get a speaker
Drum
a
roll.
brand new speaker. Drum roll, yeah.
Drum roll, please.
Someone who has not, to my knowledge anyway, done any speaking, and so this will be a first for her. Tori Baird is going to join us, and yes, so some of you may know Tori through her husband Jim, but Tori is going to come and speak to us about the Mountain River in the Northwest Territories. The Mountain River is sort of the Nahanni River's lesser known northern neighbor. I know a few people online who have talked about doing it. Hap just posted he got hit by lightning in Craig. Well, definitely, that's why we should all go then, Hap. For sure.
Hap's done it all.
The Mountain River is north of the Nahanni and sort of runs parallel to it, and it runs through the same sort of topography. So you get canyons and a lot of whitewater. So more than the Nahanni. The Nahanni certainly has its whitewater, and it's not to be taken lightly, but I guess the Mountain River is sort of like the Nahanni on whitewater steroids. So Tori's going to come, and again, as far as I'm aware, this is going to be her first presentation. And that's something at the symposium that we try and do is give people that audience and that podium to sort of get started on speaking and trying it out. And I think it's going to be a fantastic talk. Our fourth speaker is a returning speaker, and that's something that we actually have never done. We've had people speak twice, but it's always been separated by several years. Kevin has spoken twice, and other people have spoken twice. Jim Barrett's spoken twice. But Kate Barrett spoke last year and did a talk on a 50-day canoe trip that she and some other young ladies from a camp, I'm not even going to try and say the name of the camp, I'll mess it up, Wapamayo or some such thing. It's part of the Taylor Staten camps. And they did a 50-day trip from Lake Superior to Algonquin Park that included a 20-kilometer portage. And so she did that. Yeah, I know. 20
Great girl.
You know, and actually, it was inspiring. Obviously, there are girls' trips, there are boys' trips that come from Taylor Staten, and the boys routinely do the 20-kilometer portage, and the ladies are given a lift. And on this particular trip Kate was talking about, I guess there was some discussion and sort of hey, if the guys can do it, we can do it too. And so they did it. And hats off to them. I can't even imagine. And they were carrying like Royal X 75-pound canoes, not sort of the backcountry custom canoe 35-pound tandem that I have. So she was inspiring. And I know a lot of people came out of last year's symposium and sort of, there's always a speaker. Well, let me back up. It's true that you can talk to 5 people coming out of the symposium, and often each one of them will say that they appreciated a different speaker. And that's what's great about the symposium is, you know, somebody likes this speaker, somebody liked that topic, somebody liked this other thing, and that's what we try to do. But almost universally, everybody was impressed by Kate's presentation. And so I thought I'd sort of roll the dice and have her come back and speak again. And she is in the middle, or actually approaching the end of, her studies in outdoor education at OISE. And so she's going to talk about some other trips she's done. I think with an emphasis on tomogamy, and you know, also work in some of what she's learning at OISE about outdoor ed and sort of the future of what we need to be doing to make sure that educating our youth is all part of you know, preserving what we have here in Ontario. Mm-hmm. And the last speakers that we have on our list, again, a returning speaker or returning pair of speakers. But they haven't spoke for a number of years because they moved up north. Brad Jennings and Leah Catherine are going to join us, and they have what they call the Lost Canoe Routes Initiative, where they take off and check out what used to be canoe routes, often used to be in old pamphlets from MNR and so on, but generally aren't used anymore, and just see if you can still get through them. And basically they're going to come and say, hey, here's a bunch of lost canoe routes that you should check out. And they've done them each themselves and sort of paved the way again and done a little bit of portage maintenance and just generally tried to check and see if they're something that you could do, and if they're still passable, and they're going to fill us in on that. So to me, I'm just really excited by a number of things. It's sort of a younger speaking crew than we've had. I'm just reading with Matt. I'm so excited for Brad's hair. Yes, Brad's hair is a highlight of there's no doubt about that. It's a younger speaking group than we've had, I think, in the past. A nice balance of males and females speaking, because I think it's important to acknowledge the voice, the female voice in paddling these days. And it's easy for the guys to sort of, take the stage and mansplain everything. And I think I've tried to make a conscious effort in the last 5 years or so to balance up our speaking lineup. So I'm feeling pretty excited about that lineup that we have. And we're going to get that posted to the website and on Facebook and so on as quickly as we can. But your listeners got a sneak peek tonight.
That's awesome. Wow. Thank you very much. Very privileged. Very privileged. That's a hell of a lineup for sure.
We're very excited by it.
Hell, when this event sells out, I may have one ticket left over. I bought 2 tickets. I'm not sure who I'm taking. And Dave told me I could scalp it.
Scalp it. You know what? StubHub it.
I might just force my wife to come to this one.
We welcome all.
All I got to do is promise her dinner, and she's there.
Well, and if she's a gear person, we also have our vendors. Now, we haven't confirmed all our vendors, but we do have a few of them confirmed. Of course, Man Camping, Scott's going to be speaking, so he'll be there. Backcountry Custom Canoes, John will be speaking, so he'll have his canoes there. Friends of Temagami are always there. Question, Pine Martin's asking how many tickets have sold already. I'll tell you in a second. It's pretty impressive. Kingdom Outdoors will be joining us again. Always welcome, and actually Alan is worth having just for the pure fun that he brings to the event. Cal Tire donated a set of winter tires to the Winter Camping Symposium, and we raffled them off and raised, I think, almost $1,300 for Friends of Temagami. So they're coming again, and as far as I'm aware, they're interested in repeating that kind of deal. There are some people I haven't heard back from, but we hope to have Hunter and Harris, the custom paddle makers, joining us again. The boys from KIHD Stoves, hopefully they've been with us quite a few times. Outdoors Oriented came to the last one, and we're hoping to have them back. Point Grandine Park, which is a native, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of a joint venture, or it's a native park just south of Killarney. And they came to the last one this past April, and so we're hoping to have them back and help them promote that park. I think Sail will probably be there. So there'll be gear, there'll be people talking about destinations you can go to. Hopefully the vendors will be something that you can also enjoy while you're there to hear the speakers.
That's awesome. No, yeah, and by all means, get your tickets early, because I know all your symposiums.
That's right. And Martin had asked how many tickets have sold, and as of tonight, we are 2/3 sold out. So only 1/3 of our tickets are left, and they're going quickly. So,
and this event doesn't take place until April the 4th, right?
That's right. So I think last year we sold out 6 weeks before the event, something to that effect. So people, they tend to wait. They think, well, I might not be available, and they don't get their tickets. And then I get lots of emails. And Matt Olson, who I believe is listening, has become an integral part of the symposium. When I started the symposium back in 2012, it was a little bit of a one-man show, and I had volunteers. My partner Susan and the Krokosinskis have been with me, and my friend Peter Byrne has run my tech for years, but I didn't have sort of a social media presence. or not an effective one anyway. And so Matt Olson approached me, I think 3 years ago ish, and volunteered to sort of help out and really take. Oops. You're showing our old. That'll take you to where you need to be, but that's actually our old.
Is that the old one?
Yeah, you want the other one. It's just Ontario Backcountry Canoe.ca.
Oh, okay. Oh, this one got me there too.
This one will get you there.
I'm gonna pull that one. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it used to be the KW Canoe Symposium back when we were at our other 150 seat venue, but now that we've moved to the Theatre of the Arts at the University of Waterloo, we rebranded, got rid of the KW. Some people said that was a little confusing because they thought it was just about canoeing in the Kitchener area, which I could have told them is almost non-existent. So it wouldn't be much of a symposium. But
you know what? On that note, Martin Pine, if you wouldn't mind being a moderator in the chat, if you could throw the link up there a couple times to where people can buy tickets for this event and to the website, that would be fantastic.
Make yourself useful, Martin.
Martin's always a great assistance on the show. He's always more than welcome on the.
You've got him as a guest, I believe.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Actually, he was one of my first. I think week number 2.
Really?
Episode number 2, maybe 3, somewhere around there.
Wow.
So, yeah. Very knowledgeable fellow for sure.
Oh, yeah. I went canoeing, as I said, this past spring with Martin for the first time. And what a treat. The man is a consummate professional out there in the bush.
Yep.
Knows what he's doing, knows how to do it safely, knows where to go. Mind you, I did teach him one thing, and that was the value of a good chair. He was a make-your-own chair type guy, which impressed me. But I have to say, after he went with us, I think there was a chair purchased, which
is that a little collapsible one?
In some small way was my contribution to his tripping comfort.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when them chairs first come out, I was very reluctant on buying one just because they didn't look like they could hold my 215 pounds, right? And now that I have one, it's like, how did I ever go without having one of these things? Because we used to carry the fold down, the ones that go in a long bag, and yeah, it was just a real mess. So,
well, I tell you, yeah, we've tried every type of chair out there. The old, you remember those beach chairs that were just 2 pieces of wood kind of locked together, like a back and they tip back a little bit. We used to take those, and we tried stools, the little 3-legged stools, but once they got the folding chairs, we went to those, and now the Helinox chairs have come out, and they're so light and so easy to portage and so expensive that we've started in with those, and I think I finally convinced Martin to get one. He says, yes, that's true about the chair. Martin, that's still our old yes.
It's funny. If you do a search, that's what comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. If you, anyway, it's www.ontariobackcountrycanoe.ca. So it's kind of the name of the event, just without the word symposium in it. I think the old one still works because I had a different website and I linked the 2 of them together. Cool. What's the capacity of those chairs, Mama's Bear's backpack? Well, if it can hold me, it can hold most people, because I'm these days around 240, 235. So it's carrying me. So they must be pretty good.
Yeah. The only thing with them chairs, you got to have them on a solid piece of ground because the legs can sink in pretty easily.
Yes.
That's what I find anyways.
But they do sell. Well, 2 things you can do. You can put tennis balls on the ends of the legs.
Yeah.
You cut tennis balls and shove them on. That works. But the other thing you can do is Helinox sells a little, I don't know how to describe it.
Is it like a little mesh thing or?
No, it's under the chair.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a snowshoe. The 4 legs go into the corners of this thing, and it's fabric. And so I bought it to go winter camping. Haven't been able to try it yet. Somebody's saying it's like a ground cloth, right? And so it keeps you from sinking down because it spreads the weight evenly amongst the 4 legs, and then it also spreads it in the middle of the chair so that it doesn't go down into the ground. So that's something to think about. Somebody said there they made their own out of awning fabric. That's probably the way to go.
Yeah.
There's also those little foam, like puzzle pieces kind of thing. Hap just camps on rock, as do I. Hap. That's why I haven't had to worry about it except for winter camping, because we're always on rock. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Paddle-In's asking, why do you do this show, and why do I help?
The show started because I was fortunate enough to be asked to speak back in, I think, 2011 at the Wilderness Canoe Association in Toronto. I don't know if you've been to that show. It's a fantastic show, but its focus is on canoe tripping north of the tree line. I think I would say a lot of Arctic experiences there, so that, you know, they're talking about the Coppermine River and all the other fantastic, the Thalon and so on, all the other fantastic rivers up there. And I went and spoke about something totally unrelated. It was about how technology was sort of just beginning to insert itself, you know, taking a phone with you or a satellite phone on a trip, and how it, you know, can interfere with your enjoyment of the outdoors. So anyway, that's what I spoke about. And when I got done with that experience, I thought, you know, it'd be kind of cool to run something that's a little more Ontario centered. And just a one-day event, that's a 2-day event, and it's a little bit of a marathon if you've ever been. So I thought, oh, let's see if there's an audience for it. And so I took the plunge and ran it at the Princess Theatre in Waterloo, 150 seats, and we sold out. And we haven't looked back. And, you know, really, though, the reason I started it not only was to sort of give a venue to Ontario topics, but also because I wanted to meet some other paddlers. I mean, all of us have probably been in that situation where, you know certain people that canoe, but it can be a fairly small circle. I had a very small circle of like 3 friends who canoed, and that's all the people I knew who canoed. And so I just wanted to meet more people and hopefully get more opportunities to do some additional tripping and check out some new areas and find out about things I didn't know about. And so that's why I started it. And, you know, it's just been a fantastic experience to meet all these people. I mean, and some of them are here on the site tonight. I can see.
Yeah, I can see.
That's where I met him, and Hap Wilson. Kevin and I knew each other from years ago. We were roommates at one point, but you know, just meeting new people and learning about meeting fellow canoeists, and so that's why we do it. And you know, for me, it's really paid off. I've met so many wonderful people, and I'm constantly meeting new people, as I've met you now, Dennis. And it just, you know, is a great way to build a network of people. And so now when you go to the Outdoor Adventure Show and you're always constantly bumping into people, you know, somebody just said, "Where is this symposium?" Because I only have 4 canoe friends. Yeah, I feel your pain. Feel your pain. Anyway, that's why we started it. And you know, it's just hopefully fulfilling that niche. It gives sort of the Ontario canoeing fraternity a chance to get together once a year, and talk and just enjoy each other's company and you know, learn from each other and listen to new speakers and listen to people that you know are going to bring something that you want to hear, or talk about a place you want to go visit. We've heard a lot about Temagami at the symposium. We've heard a lot about Killarney. We've heard a lot about French River and Algonquin, and then we've heard a lot about other sort of less traveled places, and you know, that encourages people to go and check those places out. So
yeah, for sure. The other guy in a canoe is asking where the symposium is. He may have missed that there. It's at the University of Waterloo in Waterloo, Ontario.
That's correct.
On April the 4th.
And
at what time?
It starts, we open the doors at 9 a.m. And the speakers start at 10. So that first hour is for you to check out the vendors and talk to your fellow canoeists and actually put a face to a name that you may know from online and so on. So it's in Waterloo, Ontario. It starts at 9 a.m. and we usually wrap up around 3:30. Who else wants to hear the David, Kevin, Roomy stories? Oh,
I had to throw that.
Nobody, nobody. The man with the carrot. I'm not going to say anything else but that.
We'll keep that for the after party this year.
Yeah, no, let's not talk about that. And, yeah, so it's a full day, 9 a.m. to about 3:30. And then if you're a speaker or a sponsor, we have a little after party for those folks, just as a way of saying thank you for coming and so on.
And you know, this year I happened to get kind of snuck into the after party there by the fellows at Kid Products, which are good friends of mine. But you know what? I'm kind of grateful I did, not only because of the people I got to meet, but I actually got to meet Buck before what happened. Yeah. And that's kind of a heartbreaker there for anybody that's not aware. Jim Baird's dog passed away last week, and kind of a heartbreaker because that dog is... He was an incredible dog.
He was.
Yeah.
I called him Buck the Wonder Dog, and I only met him 2 or 3 times, but he was he was quite the guy, and a little smelly, you know, like dogs are. But,
he's an outdoor dog, right?
Yeah. But no, he was a great dog.
And actually, you know what? I propose a toast to Buck.
Toast to Buck.
He was a good old fella.
He was a good dog.
There we go. So we've got a question here from Brian J. He's asking, first, we appreciate your time and effort putting these shows together. What type of support would you say is always hardest to find for these events?
You know, when we first ran them at the Princess Theaters, there was no room in the lobby, really. I think we had room for about 3 displays. And so I always had Friends of Tobogamy and a couple of other sponsors kind of put up a booth. But that wasn't really the focus. Now that we've moved to the slightly larger venue and we have a little more room, it's nice to be able to have people sponsor. But the challenge is we've run out of room in a way for that as well. Like at the Winter Camping Symposium that we just had, I think we had 15 different displays or sponsors or there. So, you know, support wise, we're very well supported, I have to say. Finding speakers can be a challenge because I often get a lot of people expressing interest, but then when I follow up with them, you know, it's a little nerve-wracking and sometimes they back out. So I'll often have about 10 irons in the fire, so to speak, and then I'm only looking for 5, and then all of a sudden 7 say yes, and you have to go back and say, oh, well, really, I already got my 5, and can I put you off till next year? That kind of thing has happened. Actually, it happened this time. But you know what? Support, having people come and attend the event is the best support we could have, because as long as it's selling out, then we'll keep doing the show. And it's certainly been quite a success that way. Now, if somebody has I don't want to say a product, but if they have an outdoor kind of oriented thing that they do, whether it's they run a lodge, or they have an online store, or whatever, and they're interested in sponsoring, Matt Olson at Paddle In, as I said, has completely sort of taken over responsibility for our online presence, and he's also organizing our sponsors and vendors, and he's the guy to speak to, and he's actually online with us as we speak. So whoever asked the question there, sorry I missed the name, but if you have something that you would be interested in sort of sponsoring the symposium or allowing people to see, then talk to Matt Olson at Paddle In. He is the guy. He just said lots of fun vendors coming this year, and that's That's true. There'll be lots of laughter out in the hallway.
Was that Matt helping you out at the Winter Camping Symposium?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I met Matt, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there again, even at that show, I brought I didn't even know anybody there, and I brought you a prize and threw it up in the
absolutely, and
and
door prizes. We have been blessed with door prizes. Some year, like it's always between 35 and say 50 door prizes, which means like 1 in 6 people is going home with a door prize.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some amazing door prizes. I mean, we gave away an anorak from Lure of the North this past show.
Right.
You know, we gave away a set of winter tires from Cal Tire. You know, there have been some amazing. Well, Hunter and Harris has given us paddles, I mean, these are custom made, handmade canoe paddles. They're beautiful things, and they've done that. The guys from now I call it KIHD. I think you called it KID. Did you?
Well, yeah, KIHD. KID is like, well, I just call it.
You know, they've always given us stoves, and I mean the door prize pool is really something, and so I can see why some people want to come just for the door prizes.
Yeah,
I wish I could win one. You know.
Yeah, just come for the swag, eh? Before long, maybe have a big swag bag at the door. Everybody comes in, and
I see Matt saying that Hunter and Harris is confirmed for sure, and that's great.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. Through all the years, now you've been a presenter at your own symposium as well, were you not?
I presented at the very first one because somebody dropped out at the last minute, so I did a thing on the Nahanni. I have been fortunate enough to present at the Outdoor Adventure Show in Toronto, but that's where I do my presenting. I don't think anybody wants to come to my symposium and listen to me. I can always get 5 far more entertaining and interesting speakers. But yes, the first year I actually jumped in and talked about the Nahanni River, which was a real treat. It was a heck of a trip, and I was happy to be able to share it with folks.
Yeah. How hard is it to keep to a schedule with your speakers? I noticed at the Winter Camping Symposium, you had the watch on the wall.
Depends who it is. Kevin Callan, there's no getting him off the stage once he gets up there. I swear to God. The guy never shuts up. Yeah. He just goes on and on and on and on and on. And just terrible. You know what? People have been really good. We try and warn them beforehand that you know, we have limited time, and some people are given a longer window of time than others, and they've all been really good about that. We don't say really that we have a featured speaker, but when you get somebody like Jim Baird who's walked across Baffin Island, you want to give them enough time to really talk about that trip. So some of the speakers get 30 to 35 minutes. Some of them get sort of 55 minutes. You know, we try and give them a heads up, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left. I know at the Wilderness Canoe Association in Toronto, they're hardcore. They just turn your mic off when you get your time. They just shut you down. I haven't had to do that yet, though. Actually, Sean Rowley from Paddling Adventures Radio, he did a thing. I almost had to get the hook out for him, actually, now that I think about it. He talked a fair bit, too. But, yeah, no, it's the day is full. There's no doubt about it. And giving away that many door prizes takes a long time, too. I got to say, it eats up a lot of show time. So we try and make that as efficient as we can. Yes, I always say we're doing the first door prize draw right at the end of lunch hour at 1:15. So don't be late. And I try and give away something, you know, pretty big right around that time, just so that people are motivated to be in their seats right away. So. Yeah.
Well, you know what? At the Winter Camping Symposium, just so that we could be back on time, a few of us actually went out to the parking lot and tailgated out there, so we didn't have to go to a restaurant or something.
I think that the tailgate party is actually something we need to get established.
Well, you know what? Mama Bear's backpack and
yeah, no, I think I got to get food trucks in and stuff. I think that might be the way to go. I should look into that.
Costco sausages and buns and a little barbecue, and you're off to the races.
Matt, make a note of that, will you? Food truck for this coming April. We'll look into it.
There you go, Matt.
As long as one of them's selling beer, I think that'll be perfect.
Yeah. So let's share a few stories, maybe funny or disappointing, but what, like maybe some of your favorite presentations at your events.
You know,
I know it'd be hard to pick one in particular, but
well, it is and it isn't. The first time presenters often really rise to the occasion. I got to say, Christina Sherman, Camper Christina, did her very first presentation at the Canoe Symposium when it was back at the Princess Theatre. And Mark in the park, Mark Rubino, did his first presentation. Now he has a TV show. But and Kate Barrett last year was a first-time presenter. We've had a lot of first-time presenters, and I have to say every single one of them has knocked it out of the park. I haven't heard a first-time presentation yet that I didn't really enjoy. And that said, then we often get sort of sure thing presenters, right? We get people who do it not necessarily for a living per se, but they are experienced speakers. And they're the names that people maybe they buy the ticket because Jim Barrett is speaking, or Kevin Callan speaking, or Hap Wilson speaking, or now Camper Christina speaking because she's become that kind of a name. And so those are usually good. But the funny thing is, I do this every year. At the end of the show, I'll go home and I'll say to Susan, or I'll talk to people at the after party, and I'll say, which one did you enjoy? Was there one this year that really, spoke to you? And it's amazing how often people pick entirely different presentations than the one that I might have picked. Because we really do try to have something for everybody. And so in the past, we've had painters and photographers and poets and music and different speakers about so many different things. And it's funny how different speakers just reach out to different people, and so I really enjoy that. Pine Martin doesn't think they'd like us building campfires in the parking lot. You don't have to have a campfire at a tailgate party, Martin. Really, we could just have beer. They might not be happy about that either, though.
No, we hid them. We had them concealed.
Concealed, yeah. Okay, that's the way to do
it. Canoe talk without having a beverage in your hand, right?
I agree. Yeah. So anyway, in terms of favorite speakers, as you said, I'd be really hard pressed. And also, it probably wouldn't be smart for me to pick one because I could hurt somebody's feelings. But there's so many different types, and that's something I enjoy every year, is just listening to the ones that you didn't expect, or the ones you expected but they were just different somehow. And so having different speakers for different people has really worked out fairly well, I think. Yeah. It's the feedback I get anyway.
So I just invited Matt Olson up to join us here on panel. Mm-hmm. Before I pop you on, Matt, just do me one favor and make sure the volume for the YouTube feed, that's the little speaker in the bottom left-hand corner of your video screen there, just make sure that's shut off there so we don't get any feedback. And we'll add Matt to the stream here. How you doing?
Oh,
good. How are you?
Gary.
There we go.
Facial fungus I see going on there. Is that a Christmas?
Just a little bit.
Cheers, Matt. Happy birthday.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
It's your birthday today.
It was on the 5th. It was on the 5th. Cheers to you. Happy birthday. Thank you very much.
What are you, 12 or 13 now? What are you?
Yeah, 16, going on 37. But
you can drive, but you can't drink. Yeah.
Still younger than all you guys, but yes.
Well, you got me beat by quite a bit. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not old. I just look old. That's all.
Yeah.
So, what's the relationship between you two then?
Terrible.
It's horrible. Yeah, just the worst.
We only speak online. We can't tolerate each other's presence. That's
come on. We have lots of great pub nights, and we talk all about this amazing show that's coming up. So
there you go. See, I was trying to start an internet rumor that really we hated each other.
That we hate each other? That would be good.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
That'd be good. No. I met David at the Princess Theatre during one of his backcountry canoe symposiums, and I just thought we could do a little bit more online, and I think we have. I think we've gone from the Princess to this new theater, which is, we're sitting, what, like 400 around there?
400. Yeah. You know, it holds 400. We sell about 380.
And
So
we sell out months and months now in advance.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Yeah.
about 2/3, we've switched to fractions for some reason, but we are 60 to 65% sold out of the show.
66% as of this morning. So
Yeah.
there you
We're
go.
done.
That's
So
incredible.
everybody's
That
getting
really
on
is.
to
It's
get their
it's a testimony to the type of event you guys are putting on here, right? That you're selling out so quickly, and then people are begging you for tickets.
I think the coolest thing this year was before we had even introduced the speakers, we were about 50% sold out.
Yeah, we're more
That's
than
testimony to how amazing the show is and how everyone has here in Kitchener with us and has a great time. We didn't even let them know that Scott was coming or that John was going to be there. Or
that's right.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
or Tory Baird, or really, I mean, this may be, and again, I hate to say things like this because I don't want people to think that I'm comparing to earlier shows, but I mean, certainly the strength of this lineup is going to be tough to beat. And of course, we're already working on 2021. I don't know if people knew that. But.
No sleep.
When do tickets go on sale?
The minute we get offline here, we need to talk about a few people for next year.
There's no rest at all. It's always the next show.
By
This
the way,
show is going to be amazing.
I just want to point out how intimidating it was to have this person. Have a look at his picture there as they walk up to me and say, "I really want to help you out with your online presence." And I'm thinking, like, who is this guy? You know, he's got like love and hate tattooed on his knuckles or something. And what do you got there anyway? What's it say?
It says hold true, but yeah, we'll go.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So it's like, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, who's that?
That's a baby, but it's all about the support of the community. That's what it is. That's what this whole show is about.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the whole
We
community together.
young.
Just like meeting you, Dennis, at the Winter Camp Symposium. It's about meeting new people in the community, getting everyone out there and having a great time. And it always is an absolutely amazing time. We have a blast.
Are you on your... Matt, are you on your phone or something?
Yeah, I am on my phone.
Oh, jeez. You're making me nauseous, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, you know what?
There we go.
Oh, hell, I just forgot what the heck I was going to say. Oh, no, along that lines, you know, like even doing this show, it's gotten to be pretty cool because, you know, you follow people and it's almost like there's like it's almost like a celebrity thing, right? Last year, I went to the Toronto Outdoor Show, and a couple of the people I met there are people that I've followed for years. Hap Wilson, I met Kevin, and a few like other fellas there. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was with me. She goes, "Dad, you're fangirling." I go, "What the hell is fangirling?" Right? I say, like, you know, I followed these guys for years, and I've never met them, and you know, it makes you happy to meet them, right? And that's why I thought I'd start something like this here. And similar to what you've done is, you know, you're bringing people that people follow and bringing them up to the forefront so people could actually meet them. And you know what I mean? It's that personal, your event. And that's the neat thing about it is you can actually get to speak with the presenters after the fact and you mingle with them, you know? So it's kind of a neat thing.
You also need to find out that they're just regular people.
Yeah.
They're not.
Well, except for,
I guess.
Except for Brian Martin. Don't go talk to him.
Everybody picks up Martin.
No. Stay away from him.
Martin's an amazing person. Martin, you're amazing. So don't listen to anything.
That's not what you told me off camera.
It's turning these people into they're Facebook celebrities or Instagram celebrities. They're regular people. They're regular people who love to go canoeing or love to go winter camping, and they want to tell their stories. Jim Baird is a prime example. He's just a regular, everyday guy. Just
a regular dude, yeah.
Yes, he really is. He really is. But he has amazing stories to tell, and everyone loves hearing them. Mm-hmm. And that guy right there is the one that started this whole thing. And it's because of David that we get to do this twice a year. And we have an amazing experience.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about adding that third symposium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, wait. What?
You heard it here first, people.
Yeah.
And what would that one be?
Oh, God knows.
What is it gonna be?
Something about wine tasting tours. I don't know. Something like that.
Well, you'll have to do that down my neck of the woods here in
That's
Niagara,
right.
right? Because
No. You're all in Waterloo because that's where I live.
Right. Yeah.
Where it is.
And now David and I were talking about that in the green room before the show. Is like, why in Kitchener, right? And go ahead, tell everybody the answer. Why not up north in
Well,
Timmins?
Matt will tell you why. Matt and I go back and forth about this all the time, especially with winter camping. It's like I get 10 emails or text messages every year. Now, why is it in Barrie? Why isn't it in North Bay? And the answer, Matt, is
Because you live in Kitchener.
because I live in Kitchener, and that's just the way it is. I can't imagine trying to organize something in North Bay when you live in Kitchener.
I don't think people realize how much it takes to organize a show. And I think a lot of people also think there's like hundreds of people behind the scene getting everything ready. It's not. It's me and David at a pub saying, no, this is a good idea. We're going to do this. Mm-hmm. This is what's going to go on. Okay, go and see what happens. We were there for the Winter Camp Symposium, 5:30 a.m. sitting there saying, well, hope the show goes well.
Yeah, that's right. Hope everybody shows up.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, there are some tense moments every year just before the show starts, but it always works out. So,
yep,
we haven't had a no-show yet.
Yeah. So, guys, we're at the 8 o'clock hour. This is when I break in for a minute, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a swag giveaway, just like you guys at the symposium. I give stuff away too, but I don't have any sponsors.
So. Swag.
I sent out the invitation before the show to a bunch of different people to pop on. Most of them were people who have presented at your symposiums. So for anybody that got the invitation and they do want to pop up, now's the time to populate the green room. I got room for obviously 3 more people to get up here. But before we get to that, I'm going to go ahead with the swag giveaway. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that we just celebrated, or Canoehound Adventure celebrated our first anniversary, December the 27th. And in light of that there, I'm giving away a little more than just my regular decals that I give away. I'm giving 1 prize away, and I just got to reach for it here. So usually I give away my Canoehound Adventure decals, you know, the bottle stickers and stuff like that. So this giveaway, we're giving these away. I'm going to throw in a sew-on patch for this round, a Canoehound Adventures baseball cap, and a 2019 Canoehound Adventures limited edition t-shirt. Can we see that on screen? There we go.
Yes, we can.
There we go.
That's a nice looking t-shirt.
There you have it. There you have it. Thank you. So the way we're going to give this away is it's going to be fairly random. Everybody get ready on their keyboards. Pick a number between 1 and 100. Feel free to pop in as many as you want. Anything between 1 and 100. And when somebody hits the right number, I'll call it out. So go ahead, populate until I say stop. Let's see here. I see somebody, wrong one. I'm going to get rid of that. And, here you go. We have Mr. Martin Pine is in the house.
Oh, really?
You guys go ahead, chew the fat for a few minutes, and I'm gonna follow numbers here on the chat and see if anybody gets lucky.
Chew the fat has a whole different connotation when you canoe trip with Martin. You got that keto thing going on, you know?
Oh, dear.
He's chewing the fat all the time.
No. Just about once a day.
Oh, that's right. Once a day. Once a day.
It's good to see you, David. Hi, Matt.
Jesus, Matt.
Oh, we got a lot of numbers are coming in. Really close.
Oh, boy. You guys see what I have to put up with now.
Oh, come on.
I would enter a number, but I don't even know where to type. So
you'd have to do that in the YouTube feed. Oh my gosh, we got people all around the number, but nobody's hitting it.
Martin, have you been out doing any Crownland winter camping yet? Or
No,
No.
the snow has not been cooperating. As you know, we had planned a trip, and Mother Nature decided to foil us again.
Mother
You and I are
Nature
truly
forgot.
cursed.
Yeah.
We've tried this a couple of times now, and somehow
It's
unseasonably warm temperatures come along and lots of rain. So we did get some snow yesterday. I actually had to shovel a bit, but only a couple of inches.
Mhm.
And this coming Friday, we're expecting 5 millimeters of rain.
Yeah. Tom, who was supposed to come with us last year, and I were going to try and go. Since you couldn't make it this weekend, we were going to try this weekend, and again, Friday and now into Saturday, it's supposed to rain, and then drop 10 degrees to like minus 12, and so it's going to be a skating rink, and so I wouldn't even attempt it. I don't want to try my first, backcountry solo trip, on a skating rink. So not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we'll manage it yet. Hopefully this winter.
Keep your fingers crossed. We got to get out sometime. I got to try out that new solo snow trekker that I got a hold of. So
yeah. So you seem to be accumulating backcountry custom canoes and snow trekkers.
Yeah, I have 2 of each, and I've been told that's it. No more.
Somebody's really going to earn this one, you guys, because nobody's hit that number yet. They're all over the place. Okay, we'll narrow it down between.
Give him a hint.
Yeah, I'm going to. It was the year I was born.
Ooh.
Oh.
There we go.
Ooh.
And I'm 55.
Wow. That's a toughie. I'm 56, so I think I could guess it. But
oh, there we go. There, Mark got it. Hey, that's right. Oh, there we go.
I don't think that counts. Give it somebody else.
So we can show. There we go. Number 64. I can't believe I'm gonna have to go back through, but I can't believe nobody hit that. There was about 70 66s and 63s, but no 64s.
yeah, no, somebody had 64. Pray for Nathan Adventure Show is 64.
Did he?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, at 807.
I can't see that. But I will go through and I'll double check on the replay, and once we get that, and then So, anyways, carry on, fellas. So, Martin, welcome to the stream.
Thank you very much. I have a burning question for David.
Okay.
Some people, I've heard people ask this before, David, so I'm sort of asking on behalf of other people. How much loot do you walk away with from these symposia? You run, I mean, obviously you make so much money from the first one. You said, I gotta do another one.
That's right.
Just walk away. So are you trying to tell us you don't make any money on this?
I make enough to rent the theater for the next year. That's about it.
I want to call attention to this fact. David does this. This is a real labor of love. He's not making any coin on this. He just does this because he's passionate about. He's passionate about the paddling and camping community, and he wanted to meet more people who share his passion. And he just launched this on his own initially. Now he's got Matt's help, and then there's actually a host of volunteers that help. But I mean, nobody's making any money off of this. Vendors, I think, sometimes make some money off of this when they show up. And
I hope they do. Yeah.
Well, I know that some do. I mean, I've heard talk when I've been out in the foyer, sort of perusing people's stuff, and I've certainly bought stuff. I mean, this year I bought hundreds and hundreds of dollars of stuff from Lure of the North, who were there at the Winter Camping Symposium. Mm-hmm. And I have bought books and tools and things like that in previous years. But I mean, you are not making any coin on this. I want it to be known, because I have heard people say, well, David, he must, make quite a return on his investment, because the theater is packed and it's sold out. And I mean, the only reason you're not making tons of money is because the tickets are cheap.
Are $15. Yeah. And actually,
an all-day event.
I actually felt really bad. They used to be 12, and I had to raise them because my cost went up. So I felt badly about that. But Matt wants me to charge $50, you see, and so You know, I think 15 is closer to the mark. Yeah, and the vendors actually often question sort of the amount that we charge for vendors, which is a ridiculously small sum. But as long as we can cover our rental costs and things like that, we're happy to provide a service. And yeah, we make a little bit, but then when you rent the theater for the next year, that little bit is pretty much gone. So,
Right.
So it's more of a labor of love, right? Is that what they call that?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not about money.
So just for the record, guys, sorry, just to break up, it was Pray for Nate. I don't know how you caught that, David, but yeah.
I don't know. I can just see it on my feed.
Oh,
here.
okay. Yeah. Pray for Nathan. He actually beat you to the punch there, Martin. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to put my email address up on the screen there. And Nathan, if you want to send me your mailing address, I'll get that out to you lickety split, as they say.
And the rest of us should just spam Dennis.
Yeah.
Send him all kinds of stuff.
That hasn't happened yet. Shh.
No, but I can take a screenshot of this and put it up there.
Canoehound@gmail.com, Nathan, if you want to drop me an email. And actually, I follow Nathan. He's got little shorty videos, and he's doing a series right now on Temagami, a trip that he went on that he sprained his ankle on, solo tripping, on his way in to see the big the old growth pines, and he sprained his ankle, and he's fighting his way back out of the bush. So not fun. I was paying attention, Nathan. Yep. So sorry, guys, where were we? Oh, we're talking about the labor of love still.
No, we want to talk about a labor of love. Let's talk about something. Matt, what are you drinking? That's what I want to talk about.
Having we got here Boston Brewery.
Oh, nice.
At a minute just outside of Algonquin Park. Support your local brewery.
There you go.
You guys are making me jealous.
Yeah.
I'm drinking mint tea.
Oh,
I thought you'd be like one of these guys, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, see,
I
I've got an early morning, so
I went European with this one, but I like this stuff.
Rolls.
Yeah. Goes well.
We got all the hubbub. It's not about money.
You know what? It's interesting. We've tried to get a brewer to sponsor this symposium, and the way the laws are in Ontario and just the whole perception of the outdoors and brewing and drinking and paddling and everything, it's just never going to happen. But it would have been great, to give away door prizes of 2 fours of crack canoe or whatever. But
why is it I go to some events there, and they've got like microbreweries there and stuff, and they'll be doing samplings and stuff, right?
But what kind of events are those?
A little smaller. We're a little smaller.
I've been everything from like bridal shows up to
yeah, but you see, they don't mind people at weddings drinking, but they don't want people who are in canoes drinking. That's the that's the problem. They don't mind people drinking at weddings and then driving home. Apparently, that's quite all right, but don't get in a canoe when you've been drinking. So
because it is considered a vessel now, right? So
that's right.
I think Paddling Adventures Radio was talking about that last week on their show.
Mm-hmm.
That guy that got charged with it, and he was intoxicated, and it was his nephew or something lost his life. So
yeah. No, so they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But anyway, we do well with the vendors we get, so we're quite happy with it. And as Martin said, you can pick up some really nice gear from Lure of the North or Hunter and Harris with their specialty paddles or their custom paddles, and we have great vendors, really, and lots of great gear.
And it's not like just walking into a store either. The people who make this gear, and some of them are cottage vendors, for instance, right? These are small businesses operating out of their home. Everything is handmade very often with some of these people. And you get to talk to the vendors. You get to talk to the people who own the stores or operate the stores or manage the stores. They're very knowledgeable about the gear that they're selling there. They're not just sending some representative who doesn't know anything about it, doesn't care about the community or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And so these are people that are plugged in to the community. And they're very often active in the community. Some of them have YouTube channels, and and things like that we might be familiar with. So I always enjoy that. Like when I get there, the first thing I do is I go downstairs and I plunk my coat down on a seat, find a good seat. Oh, by the way, David could sell more tickets if he wanted to, but he limits the number of seats so that the sight lines are all good, because people they're giving presentations, they have a screen behind them and stuff like that. He wants to ensure that everyone has a good sight line. So again, I mean, he's selling as many tickets as he can within the restriction that everyone has a good seat. No one's sort of behind the stage or anything like that, or at such a terrible angle that they can't appreciate the show. So, but I always want to make sure I've got a good seat, where I'm going to be, an aisle seat. I like an aisle seat.
Yeah, I got to get to the symposium a little earlier this year so I can actually get something up front row, because I want to videotape the presentations. I got like little portions of the winter one, and it was quite interesting to rewatch what I had. Mind you, my camera gear was horrible, and I lost most of the footage. But yeah,
Matt, what were you saying?
He can help us load in. You want to come early?
Yeah,
We're there.
Yeah. I could be one of the roadies like Martin here.
No, I go early, and David puts me to work right away.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Sticks me with a really lousy job when I go there.
I'd have no problem with that, because I could help the guys from Kid Products load in their stuff there. And on that same note, Martin, about what you're saying is, it's like the cottagers are these people that are making these products that we're using, right?
Yeah.
Kid Products, Agawa Canyon saws. These guys are all guys like us that have come up with a product that is like useful and very effective, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what better, like, you can buy something that's mass produced, or you can buy something that's, it's a family business. The hot tents.
The snow tracker tents.
Snow
Yeah.
tracker tents. Family business, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But one of the things I like about getting there and just throwing my jacket down is then I go out into the foyer, and I get to talk to these vendors, and people are buying their tickets, and they're pouring in. And, I end up shaking 40, 50 hands of people that I know, and how you doing, and hugs and stuff like that. These are people that I've only met through these events, right? I live in Muskoka, kind of, far away. I'm never at these big Toronto boat show and stuff like that. I don't attend these kinds of events, and I'm not otherwise plugged into the community. I have a YouTube channel, but I mean, it's a piddling channel. But it's only as a result of attending these events a few years ago that I got to meet so many people face to face and rub shoulders with them, and then I've arranged trips with some of these people, and then you go out to lunch during the intermission. You go out, and I've made so many friends thanks to David. Not to mention making a friend of David. Dennis here I met for the first time in person after we had been known each other through this live stream. But we met for the first time face to face at the Winter Camping Symposium last November for the first time. So it's just a fantastic way to connect with people whose content you've been following on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook. They're going to be there. And you get to meet them and rub shoulders with them. And that, for me, is actually even more fun than anything else. As good as the talks are, I really like the sense of fellowship and camaraderie of hanging out for a whole day with people who are like mine. And then afterwards, people go out and have dinner, and they throw back a few beers, and they trade wisdom and stories and stuff like that, and they tell lies about their camping experiences. It's all great.
The lies are the best part.
Right. Yeah, so I very strongly encourage people to get out there and get your tickets early so that you're not locked out on the last day, because there are no tickets sold at the door.
No, there's not. We're going to sell out.
So I better not open up. I was going to ask, what if somebody shows up at the door and doesn't have a ticket?
I won't
open that.
David's going to let them in, because it's about community. The whole day is about community. It's about going out there and finding out what's going on in the canoeing community or in the winter camping community. And with so many people, we run bets. We sell out.
Yeah.
and I run bets saying who's going to be the first person to message me saying,
Who's going to be the first person that says,
yeah, I've been advertising tickets for 9 months, but I forgot about that, and I need a ticket now. Well, look, if there's space, I guess, if there's space, you can come in and come see the amazing event that happens. And hang out with these great people like Pine Martin, like David Bain, and like the Canoehound right here. These are the people that are going to be at the show, and it's going to be a great event.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Jenica Grimshaw is asking, are you looking for volunteers?
I think at the present time we kind of have, unless now Matt has put together a group he calls the Paddle Thugs, who help him load in the vendors. So, but that's the only opening we have available right now. Everything else is pretty much covered. Excuse me, I have to cough here. I've got some kind of 100-day cough. I'm on day 25 or something, so I'm really looking forward to it. There's 75 days of coughing. It's amazing. I've had a couple of the Krokosinskis have manned the door at every symposium I've ever done. So we are at, we're coming up on number 9 for the Canoe Symposium, and we've done 3 winter camping. So we've done 12, and they have done the door at every single one of them. Peter Burnt, my paddling friend, has done the technology, the laptop computers for all 12 events. So, I really have a great core, and of course my partner Susan, who just puts up with me. I think that deserves, some kind of a medal, because invariably I panic at some point and think we're not going to sell out, or something bad's going to happen, and she's always there to reassure me that I'm not losing my mind. Yeah, we have a great core of volunteers, and really it's amazing how you can run a show for 400 people with, a fairly small but dedicated group of volunteers, plus the Paddle Thugs who showed up this year to help load in. That was great help. Yeah.
Oh wow. Have you ever had any presenters where they're you know what, maybe I'm not going to ask that. That's a loaded question.
I promise I will have.
He was looking at me. David was looking at me when you started asking that question.
And I didn't even know what the question was.
Let me ask it a little differently. Have you ever had and you don't have to give any names, but have you ever had a presentation that kind of went awry?
No.
Not in a bad way. We've had people take things in directions maybe we didn't anticipate, but I think it's always worked out, in some way, and turned out in a positive way. So no, and the thing is that people have to realize is often I haven't even met the people who are speaking until the morning of the symposium. So, people are coming in from 6 hours away, driving down, and they show up that morning, and all we've ever done is speak online with each other, and I've tried to prepare them as best I can, but they're often a little bit of an unknown quantity, but it's always worked out, and we've been very fortunate that way. Now, if I ever convince Matt to speak, I know that'll be a disaster.
Please, 100%.
Yeah, no.
He's going to be the secret guest, right?
That's right, yeah.
One of the things I want to say about this symposium is that very often I look at the lineup of speakers and there's like, well, there's 2 in there. I'm like, yeah, I'm really jazzed. I really want to hear these 2 people speak. But the other 4, maybe not so much. Or the other 3, maybe not so much. And every time I'm completely turned around. I come away going, wow, this person I'd never heard of, who was talking on a subject that I thought wouldn't be of any interest to me.
Yep.
Mind blowing. One comes to mind. Well, you already talked about Katie last year, at last year's Canoe Symposium. But there was another one, Stephen, was it Coots? Is that how we pronounce his name?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, who was talking about canoe polling. Okay, he's just started a new YouTube channel, but people should check him out. And canoe polling, pulling a canoe upriver. We've all seen people doing it. We may have tried it ourselves for, just on a whim. I had no idea what an important role that played in the history of canoeing and how that was an integral canoe skill. That was not some weird thing, outside thing. It was integral, because when people needed to, go downriver and then turn around, and that river was the only way to go, they had to pole upriver.
Yep.
And he showed through slides and video the efficacy and efficiency with which you could do this, go uphill against rapids, right? And but also he showed historically how this was just understood, that this was part of canoeing. On the cover of a book about canoeing, it showed someone standing up holding a pole. Things like that surprised me every time. At every one of these events, there's one speaker who is talking about something that I didn't think would be remotely interesting to me. And that I would just be sitting through it, and I'm like, oh, how about that? I came away with an education. It broadened my understanding about canoeing and canoe culture. I didn't just get to meet these people and stuff like that. I actually came away enlarged. It's really, it can be quite edifying to hear so many different perspectives from people. People who have a lot more experience, people have wildly different experiences. They're undertaking the kinds of trips that you would never take. You get to sort of live vicariously through them. But then you get all these tips and tricks from people who've been doing this for years, and then you go, oh my God, I'm going to be doing that on my next trip. That happens every time, every year.
There's one speaker that calls to mind, and I won't say which speaker it was, but somebody came up to me and they said, really wasn't looking forward to that presentation, but they got talking about the history, and all of a sudden I realized I was missing out on a big portion of a canoe trip when I didn't look into the history of the area before I went, because once you know the history, you can, check out all these various parts of the loop or parts of the river, and the things that are part of the history of the area. And they were quite surprised that they were drawn in by this person's talk, when in fact they didn't think they'd really enjoy it at all. And I think that happens a fair bit. And that's the feedback we get, is that, so-and-so says, I wasn't really thinking I'd get much out of that one, and boy, it really excited me, and I'm all pumped to try that, and so on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Did you guys see the question I put up on there from the other guy in the canoe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For everyone on the panel there. Are you all also driving everyone in your life crazy with talk and obsession of the next canoe season? That's me. That's me. Yeah. I go out every day into the garage, and I give my Swift canoe a nice little caress, keeping her all warmed up for the spring.
Well, and with the symposium now, of course, it's 12 months a year, right? Because now we're doing winter symposium and canoe symposium, and so I'm talking about trips, pretty much all the time, every season. There's no off season anymore, which is great, but you're right. I think it can get to be a little much. That's why I always have to thank Susan whenever I run these things, that she just puts up with me. I think that's a big part of the whole process. Mm-hmm. And of course, anybody who would put up with Matt deserves a medal of some kind. So.
Well, this time of year, I go crazy. I go stir crazy at home. So that's why I got my day camp. I go out to my day camp, and I go out there and play in the forest, right? Yeah. Gives me something to do. I can't go all the way up north and winter camp every weekend, or, I can't. So I live in a rural area.
Quiet. Dennis is talking.
Yeah. Matt's crying like a baby over there. But no, so it gives me something to do, and it just goes to show that, maybe you can't canoe, maybe you can't winter camp, but you can always find something, whether you're a hiker or a biker or whatever it is, just to get outside and enjoy the outdoors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed Pray for Nathan just said that, the rivers are still open, and it's pretty tempting to throw a canoe in, even though, you should have a dry suit. But, oh my God.
It's already just got interesting. No.
Oh, no!
Wait.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Does he have a mic? It's a whole other level of.
Oh, I seen your cut. That's awesome.
He's showing off his new Christmas present.
I see. What do you got there?
Well, Brian Martin, that's not tea. That's for kids. Cheers.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
These
good.
are real stuff.
I don't get no respect.
I know you don't. No, you.
Everyone respects your kilo existence. It's
You
good.
better be drinking a blend because we're out in the woods tomorrow, Mr. Martin.
Single malt.
Right?
Single malt.
Yeah,
Single malt.
I just got in, so I'm just having a wee one before I just. Yeah. Hey. Okay. So, David, there's a few things we got to clear up. First of all,
No one can hear.
one thing I wish I did at your symposium last year, and I regret it to this day, when that, and I forget her name, I'm so sorry, but the woman that actually did that 50-day Spain trip,
Sorry, the woman that.
presenter that actually did that, and she's returning again.
Oh, Kate Barrett.
Yeah, yes, Kate. I was just about to want to do a standing ovation. She deserved it, right? And I didn't.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
Yeah,
That
no, I hear you.
That person deserved everybody to stand up and cheer.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, her presentation was, I mean, in their own way, all of them are good, but without sort of playing the comparison game and sort of.
Oh yeah, I
better than that.
totally agree. I'm just sort of rambling off saying that I regret. I regret that I did not stand up.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, and actually, I think she's, like I said, I've invited her back this year, which is unprecedented to have her twice, have anybody speak 2 years in a row. But she is indicative of I think the best of this younger generation. Some of us old timers, we did our stint in outdoor ed, Kevin, you and I, way back in the day, and now she's. We're passing the torch.
No, we're not.
To this younger generation. And it's in good hands. He's speechless. It's the first time since I've known him.
That's never happened.
No,
That's unprecedented.
Kevin, we were young. We were young once.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in overtime here. Can I go way back up in the stream or in the chat about 45 minutes ago there, and somebody made the comment about stories of roommates or something?
I bet you Kevin's got a story about David.
Oh,
Actually, no. You know what? I think David has more stories about me because I'm a messed up person. We worked at the Etobicoke Outdoor Ed Center together. We taught in outdoor education. You had just finished University of Waterloo.
no, I was at a co-op work term.
Yeah. So, and I was one of the residential outdoor persons. So basically, we slept where we worked. So these kids would come in from the Toronto schools, and we would teach them outdoor ed. But remember doing the skiing with our pajamas. So we'd all get them all in their pajamas, and we'd get our pajamas on, and then we ski around the Etobicoke Center. And then what was really cool, David, is just the other day, the cook that worked there, and we're talking mid-'80s, right?
Yeah.
She's on my Facebook list, and she goes, "Do you remember me?" I went, "Yeah, I do." And you serve fish every friggin' Friday. It was nuts. Yeah. But
that's funny, how you run into people from way back then, and good times. I have nothing but good, fond memories of that.
Yeah, but you had to sleep with my ferret. I mean
that was the problem.
Animals, yeah.
Frodo the ferret.
I know, and so I worked at a wildlife center prior to that, so I had all these animals that I would take in because they were going to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. And one was Frodo the ferret, and ferrets weren't pets at the time. Frodo was going to be put to death, so I said, "No, I'll take him." And you, poor bugger. I mean, how many times did you step in his poo?
More than once.
Oh, I don't know how people put up.
Do you remember the night you got him descented?
Oh, that was the wrong thing to tell. I remember my boss saying, "Do not do that ever again." I wept and cried in front of the kids saying, "This is wrong. This is wrong."
Yeah.
There you go, Martin. You're getting your stories.
Yeah.
And
You know
it's
what?
funny you mentioned ferrets like that because I own 3. Not presently, but I have owned 3
You have one three.
at the same time. Yeah. My wife and I own 3. We lived in an apartment. I'm allergic to cats. And we lived in an apartment in downtown Montreal when we were in university. There was no way we were going to get a dog under those conditions. It just seemed unfair. And I thought, well, maybe a house cat or something like that. No, that's out of the question because I'm allergic. So I thought, okay, ferrets. And so we got one, loved it so much, got a second one, loved that one so much, got a third one. So yeah, we had 3 ferrets at one point.
Well, there were good pets at that time, though. Back in those times, like basically, someone was illegally hunting with it, so therefore the wildlife center, the government took it away, and then of course my boss said, "We'll kill it," and I went, "Well, can I keep it?" And then remember Merle the squirrel? Remember Merle the squirrel in front of all those kids dying?
Yeah.
He had a brain aneurysm, and also my boss goes, "What happened?" I went, "Well, I had Merle the squirrel. He just died in front of everybody." Well, you got to find out why, because everybody thought he had rabies. And remember, no, you weren't at Noisy River, but at Noisy
No,
River.
it wasn't.
Well, no, so Noisy River was the other outdoor center apart from that, and I had Falco the kestrel, and Frodo the ferret killed the kestrel in front of all the kids.
Kevin. You know, the one story I remember you telling me, and it is that you used to study turkey vultures down in Milton.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
That
And
is
so you used
awesome,
to rub
man.
yourself in roadkill so that they wouldn't smell you? Is that right? Have I got that right?
I did. But those are the days, and that was really interesting because vultures are really common now. But back in the day, they weren't. When we were working in the outdoor ed, if we saw a turkey vulture, it's like wow. And even cormorants were rare at the time. Even Canada geese were rare at the time. Dave.
Yeah, that's right. That's why they're protected.
Oh yeah, and then so, but yeah, I got a job studying turkey vultures, and I would go out to a blind. And I would in the morning, and I would sit and wait, and I'd study them, but they wouldn't land on the dead carcasses that I put out for them, and I couldn't understand why. And so I thought, well, wait a minute, they smell their food, they don't look at their food. But nowadays you can get like spray that smells like dead carcasses. But back in that day, you had to make your own. So I just would rub a roadkill on me in the morning, and it worked. They would land, and what we found out at that time that maggots would crawl up their legs, and their anuses rotate, and they squirt out a very acidic whitewash and burn the maggots off. So I was one of the first to study that and report it to the government.
Kind of makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yes. So sorry, David, for being your roommate. It was hell.
Hey, Matt, can you hear him now?
Oh, not at all. It's the best.
No?
Oh, okay. When that happens, if one person in the stream can't hear the others, that you just need to drop from the stream and rejoin, and that usually refreshes.
Oh,
If
do you
not,
hear that?
if not, Kevin might have to do it.
Yeah.
Matt, we can't hear you there, Kevin. So I think Matt needs to maybe drop down
Do you want me to drop
and then
down?
pop back in again, like
Goodbye,
go
Matt.
like you and then come back in again.
There you go. Don't let them back in, though.
No, I think the wrong person dropped out there.
No, it was Matt. Oh,
No,
yeah.
you don't understand.
Oh yeah.
You're like,
When you feel the love tonight.
Now, David, going back to the whole thing to go back in circle, like you started in outdoor ed, you became a teacher, and now you're retired as a teacher, and now you're putting a lot more time into getting in the woods, which I think is fantastic. I looked at your post, and I think it's great that you're getting out there, especially Killarney. But then you're spending more time doing this as well. Is that why? Was it early retirement, or was it just okay?
No. I did my 30 years. Yeah, it's time has flown, but yeah, it's been. I did 30 years in elementary school and loved every minute of it, really, and loved the kids. But it's interesting, and not to sound too maudlin or anything, but just your reference to Kate Barrett, and I mean the young teachers that are coming up these days. Many of them are just so full of energy and so fantastic, and can really connect to the kids. And even though I felt like I connected well with the kids still, the gap was getting wider and wider. Thank God they all loved classic rock still. So we still had something that, we could discuss in common, but it was just time to move on. And I was certainly looking forward to being able to do some some trips. As you noticed, I got out a few times, short little trips, mostly 2-nighters, 3-nighters. But I took your recommendation of Black Cat Lake there up near Little Hawk.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love it.
Wonderful little spot up in there.
Yeah.
Mind you, I did it at full bug season, so there wasn't anybody else around. But
And you got no trout.
I didn't, but that's because I suck at fishing. So that's why we have John coming from Backcountry Custom Canoe, not to talk about canoes, to talk about fishing from a canoe, because I suck at it. So I need his help desperately.
We need Kevin and John to have a fish off.
Guess that's one way to get free instruction, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Go back to Outdoor Ed days. No, David, you need to learn more about it and improve your skills.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you're right. That's a much better way to phrase it. I appreciate your positivity there.
Yes. Oh, and actually, I would if nobody knows about David's fascination with flags, history and flags. Tell them what you did during the 150 on Canoe Lake. That was amazing.
So the 150 for 150, if people aren't familiar, there was a group of online personalities got together, Kevin and David Lee and Matt Olson and just lots of people put together an invitation for 150 canoes to come out on Canoe Lake to celebrate Canada's 150th anniversary. And so another couple and Susan and I joined up, and we went up and were part of that event. So I thought I'd bring something, because I taught Canadian history for a long time. I've always wanted to take things into the classroom to show the kids anything that they could actually put their hands on and sort of appreciate. So when I taught the War of 1812, I have some War of 1812. I have cannonballs and bayonets and so on. So when I used to teach Canadian Confederation, I was fortunate enough to get a hold of an original Canadian flag from 1868. In 1867, we still used the British Union Jack, but in 1868, we came out with a flag of our own, which is our British red ensign with a crest on it that shows the 4 original provinces, which were New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Ontario, and Quebec. And so when we did the 150 for 150, I took this flag out of its box that I keep it in, out of the light, and sort of try and keep it preserved, and mounted it on a ball retriever, golf ball retriever, and so that I could wave it over the crowd. And they were doing some of the introductions, and they were nice enough to ask me to sort of show it to the crowd and describe what it was and so on. So at the 150th anniversary celebration, we had a 150-year-old Canadian flag, which I thought, was kind of apropos. And it also was the 100th anniversary of Tom Thompson's death on Canoe Lake, I believe. And that is the official Canadian flag that would have flown over Mowat Lodge and all the places in Algonquin Park at that time when Tom Thompson was there. So it was just I felt something I could contribute to the event and kind of bring some history into it. So, yeah, I took the original Canadian flag and waved it high on my ball retriever. And it's there in some of the photos. You can see,
And you actually collect all kinds of Canadiana artifacts, right? I mean, you have like some very unusual paddles. You have some books that are very, very rare. You actually, I got to see some of those. You have a letter, or I'm trying to remember, is it a letter or letters by Grey Owl, right? Well, tell us about some of what you've got in your collection, because it's extraordinary.
Yeah, I actually didn't know what direction this discussion was going to go, so I had a few books that have inspired me over the years, and I actually have that book with me here, and try and tilt it so that people can see it. This was Grey Owl's first book, Archie Bellany. If you're familiar with the story of Archie Bellany, he's the man who, along with his partner Anahario, basically saved the beaver from extinction in Canada by promoting preservation and so on. But in this book, this particular book, there's a letter from Archie Bellany written in Ojibwe, and it's got some of his illustrations that he used to draw and that kind of thing, is tipped into it because this copy belonged to the nurse that looked after him in World War I when he was wounded as part of the Canadian Expeditionary Force. So it's all inscribed to her from your friend the Injun, Archie Gray Owl. And it has his picture there that she took of him in his hospital pajamas, using his crutches and so on. So yeah, that's something that as a history teacher I kind of got into and tried to collect that kind of thing, and it's part of what got me into canoeing. I mean, books like that, or The Singing Wilderness by where is that there? Singing Wilderness by Sigurd Olson, or The Lonely Land by Sigurd Olson, about a canoe trip down the Churchill River. Things like that just were really inspiring to me when I first got into canoeing. And I know they're kind of classics that people still read today, and they've certainly been a big part of what. And you talked about, do you drive people crazy in the off season? Often what I did instead of driving Susan crazy is I would just read something like Sleeping Island by P.G. Downs there to get me through, right?
Notice they're all in plastic covers too, eh?
Well, these, this is actually a first edition of Sleeping Island from 1940. I'd have to look
that
it up.
Gray Owl book, man, that could be in a museum somewhere, eh?
I actually have to try and get it someplace where it'll be preserved. Yeah. A lot of the things that I've collected over the years, now that I'm retired, I need to start trying to find homes for them so that they'll survive, and be in the public eye. Because the worst thing that can happen to something like this is for it to just disappear into a private. Oh God, Matt's back.
Welcome back.
Is for it to disappear into a private collection, and nobody ever sees it, kind of thing. So.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we go. Okay.
What? I can't hear you, Matt.
I can hear Kevin now. I can actually hear Kevin.
What was that?
We could do a whole show of us just saying, excuse me, sorry, huh? What?
I can hear you.
Matt, or Dave, I got a question for you. Now, you said you got into canoeing late in life. How did you get into it? What brought you into the canoeing life?
I think, like a lot of people, I was invited on a trip. I taught with a few guys who had been canoeing before, and just the whole idea of, hey, why don't we go on a canoe trip this summer? And somebody mentioned North Tea Lake in Algonquin, and it's like, sure, I have no idea what I'm doing. So as long as somebody else knows what they're doing, I'm happy to go along. And actually, one of the guys on that trip, Mike Ferguson, he and I have gone on a trip every year for the past 26 years together. So, I've been very fortunate with the guys that I canoe with. One of them has unfortunately passed away, but we sort of invited another guy to join the group, and it's been a very tight-knit and consistent group of guys. But Mike, as I said, he and I have done 26 years worth of trips. And it's great. Like, I know some of you folks will have tripped with people for long periods of time. It's wonderful when everybody just knows what needs doing. Like, the minute you show up at the campsite, somebody just goes and gets wood. Somebody sets up the tent. Like, everybody's got a job, and they don't have to be asked. And we've been at that stage for a long time. So he's a real joy to go canoeing with, for sure. And we've experienced a lot of great things together, I'll tell you. There was one time when Kevin, you wrote a book on Killarney. Do you remember what year that was? You did your first book on Killarney?
1989.
Yeah, so I would contend, and you can back me up or not on this, but when I first went to Killarney in '94, I think the water in Killarney Lake and OSA Lake was bluer than it is now.
but it is,
Yeah.
or was. Sorry.
Yeah.
So because they raised the stacks a few years back,
Right.
started cleaning things up. Fish are now coming back into some of the lakes. George Lake, for example, there's even a lake that they stocked and are doing well. So it is changing. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
So when we go there now, I mean, it's still a great place to canoe, but there isn't quite that wow factor, and it's for a good reason. I mean, it's good that they're not as blue as they used to be. But when we first went there, they were so clear, especially OSA Lake was so clear that we would take snorkels and masks and flippers just to be able to swim in those things. Well, we went to Muriel Lake through OSA.
Oh, yeah.
And we had our flippers and everything with us. And we were swimming by the cliffside camp, which we love and have gone back to probably 10 times over the years. And a loon popped up about 5 feet in front of me. And a loon is a very big animal or bird when you're at eye level in the water. I mean, they are large, right? So I actually was coming up, I swam up to it, and it dove, of course, but because I was wearing flippers and I had a snorkel and everything, I swam with it. I probably went down 10 or 15 feet, and I was actually able to reach out and like touch its back and everything as it was swimming. And there were bubbles coming out of the feathers and everything. No, Callan. Anyway, of course, I ran out of air and had to pop up, and it actually popped up with me and then dove again, and I went with it, but of course it took off. But that was one of the outstanding moments that I've ever had on a canoe trip, to be able to go swimming with a loon like that, despite what Kevin might think.
When did this happen?
1995.
You even know the date when this loon swam with you?
Yeah, well, it was the trip to Muriel. It was my first time there.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
You
I
had a
was,
good write about it. We posted your write-up. That was a good write-up.
I actually wrote that up, and Matt posted it on his Battle Insight.
That was a good write-up.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, it was quite a moment, I tell you. It's like I've had some great moments on Muriel. We saw a wolf there about 2 years ago, back in behind the campsite and so on. I mean, it's a beautiful part of the park, and we love getting back in there. But that was sort of a real highlight, a real highlight. But as you said, the waters back then used to be just unbelievably clear. Now, for good reasons, they're not quite as clear as they were. They're still great, but they're starting to darken down a little bit.
Yeah, it's because of the course like the Clock Mountains. They're not good with acidity.
Right.
Limestone is good for that, but quartz isn't. So even in spring, when the snow melts and flushes into the water, and especially with the sulfur coming from Sudbury stacks, it just shuts everything down. So yeah, but they look nice, and loons can swim with you up close because of it. So
that's right. And you can see bubbles coming out of their feathers.
Yeah. Here's a question from the other guy in the canoe there, and I think it's a question that you might be able to answer, David, because you have a passion for that area.
Yeah, it's interesting. Algonquin is a much larger park, and you certainly can do a loop trip in Algonquin that's going to be, quite extensive. I mean, Kevin, what was your trip that you just completed? How long was that?
Over 400 kilometers. Don't ever do that. No, but I did a really good trip in Killarney years ago. We actually went around Killarney. We started in Killarney and went up to the north end and circled it. And it was a 10-day trip. It's beautiful. I would do that 10,000 times over. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if Marion Sontag is still on. Is she part of the discussion still?
I haven't seen her pop in for a little bit.
Okay, because she is far more of an expert on Killarney than I am. I know her family has done extensive trips in Killarney, starting at George Lake and up through Nellie and Grace, and then into some of the little lakes that I've never had a chance to get to, and so on. She's also hiked around the park, which I think is insane. Oh, there's Marion. Do you want to, Dennis? I don't know if you can get Marion. She can answer that question.
Yeah, get her to tell the bear story going up to Intinelli. Yes.
Yes, tell the bear story.
It's a great story. Come on, get on
Yeah,
there.
I'll post the link for Marion to jump in if she'd like to join in.
See if you can get Marion in here because
If she's able to, just make sure when you do come in that you shut off the volume on your YouTube feed alone, and then we won't get any feedback.
Dennis, she's professional. You don't have to worry about her.
Okay. Well,
that's true. She's presented at the symposium, so she must know what she's doing.
That was
Gentlemen, I'm going to take this opportunity to say goodnight, but thank you very much. And David, thanks for everything you do.
Good to see you again, Martin. Sorry we can't get out this coming weekend, but good luck with Kevin.
We'll try again later in the year.
Be careful. He can be an interesting guy. Just be aware.
He has a bedtime.
Be
I'm
careful.
bringing a weapon.
thanks again for being a regular on the show. I appreciate having you pop in there and sharing your expertise.
Cheers.
Always good to see you, Martin.
Thanks.
I'll see you in the woods tomorrow, Martin.
Where are you guys headed?
Actually, I wanted to do a whiskey fireside chat with Martin.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
So I
I
said,
noticed you haven't done one with me yet, old friend. Appreciate that.
I really would want. Today I woke up and said, I had this epiphany. I really would love to do that whiskey fireside chat like the Two Fern guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. In between two ferns.
Yeah, between two ferns. If I can get a whiskey sponsor that would actually pay me to do that and just travel around and interview all these really great people in the outdoor world. Wait a minute. Dennis is already doing it.
That's right. You just need two ferns.
Yeah, get some ferns, Dennis.
Yep, I'm trying.
Is Marion able to make it? If not, I'm going to try and answer this
Actually,
question.
somebody just popped up there. No. Oh, yeah, she did too. There she is. Hi, Marion. How you doing?
Hi
Hi,
there.
Marion.
Welcome to the stream.
Hi.
Oh, boy. Now we have two people on their phones moving around. I'm going to get nauseous.
I'm sorry. I'll hold still.
Marion, did you catch the question that was asked about how is it possible to do more than a 4 or 5 day canoe route in Killarney because it looks so small?
It looks small, but you made the good point, David, that if you climb a ridge, if you spend more than a day on a lake and you can climb a ridge, it adds to the trip. It adds that aspect of getting out of your boat and or getting out of your canoe and having a look at the terrain. If you get a chance to do that loop that Kevin did, we've done that one 3 times now, and it's phenomenal. The entry points on the lower end of the park, they are busy, but if you get up near the top, you don't see very many people at all, and it's equally as stunning as the bottom part of the park.
Mm-hmm. So where would you go in to do, would you head in at Grace or Nellie and go from there?
You could start anywhere and loop around. We've done, we did the shuttle and went in up on McGregor Bay, and that was fun. That was something that we had never done as a family. The boat ride was exciting. And that cut off easily. I think I talked to Kevin about that one. That cut off about 2 days of our trip when we did that. But I just couldn't get the sites because it was busier on the lower end. But we've started to rate at George and looped all the way up and around and back again. And it's a great trip. It really is.
How long would that be?
We took 10 days, but that was with all 6 kids. There was a boyfriend on that one trip, plus 2 dogs. So we had 2 rest days in between, and then just kept moving at a leisurely pace. Like we weren't, it wasn't a marathon for us, but we wanted to enjoy our time there.
Yeah, I have to say that Killarney, and I don't mean to put down people who love Algonquin, because I know a lot of people appreciate the history of that area, and they, but with Killarney, if you show somebody a picture of a lake in Killarney, they can usually go, oh, that's OSA Lake. Oh, that's Little Superior Lake. Oh, that's, this. Each lake is not just unique looking, but they're somehow recognizable. And so they're worth spending extra days on. Like if you get to Nellie, it would be a shame to just pull into Nellie at 3 p.m. and leave at 10 the next morning. You know,
It really would be, yeah.
you have to book more than one day for a place like that, or Grace, or whatever.
Yeah.
Matt, what are you doing?
I'm answering
finally found the
questions.
proper link there too.
I'm answering questions.
Like my mother would say, you just got to answer your parents.
So for somebody that's going to Killarney for the very first time, what any suggestions of like entry point or of a particular route?
I think Marion's suggestion of coming in from the north these days is one of the only ways you're going to get
Yeah.
a site.
Yeah.
It is such a popular area. The other thing is to do what Marion, you and I ended up talking about, and you and Dwayne did, is go out to Philip Edward Island. Now, it's not for everybody, you know, because it's a little bit weather dependent, but, you know, that's some of the best scenery I think you're going to find anywhere. And because it's Crown land, you know, it's a little bit more flexible that way. But, yeah, going in from the north is definitely the thing to do, whether you head into Grace and Nellie, or go into Little Bell and loop around through that way, or not Little Bell, but Bell Lake, and loop north from there. That might get you something that would be less busy. Mr. Olson, are you okay, sir? You're
Yeah, just trying to put the boots on right now. Having a good time.
okay, good. I think he's doing his own whiskey fireside chat right now, Mr. Happy Camper.
Marion, tell the story about, because when you presented at David's show, it was like, it was one of those things. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious when you showed that video clip of your family going up that hill and the bear encounter. Like, that's real, and you'll never get that anywhere. It was awesome. So tell the story.
So that was actually part of that one big loop that we did. And we were going in from Murray, and we were crossing over the Notch. And it's a 1.2 kilometer portage. So it was when the kids were younger, and I think Haley was, I don't know, 13 or 14, and she was starting to get into the videoing, and she really wanted to wear the camera on her head and tape herself doing the portage with the kids. And so we send the kids, our safety protocol is the kids go off in pairs, and we send them along, and then, you know, we follow along with them. So the video is Haley taking footage of the portage with all the kids, but she's huffing and puffing up the hill. Halfway through, she's wishing for ice cream in the middle of the trail. And then they hear the screaming. Her and my son were the pairs on that one, and they hear the screaming. And it's kind of did you hear that? No, did you hear that? I think I heard a kid scream. And well, we were the only ones at the takeout. And by the time she caught up to the two girls, they had seen the first two girls. They would have been, I don't know, maybe 12 and 6. And they had encountered a mama bear and 3 cubs. And there was a lot of discussion. And my daughter, God bless her, she had thought that it was a turkey in the woods, because a big black turkey originally when she saw it, because we had been at Pinery camping the week before, teaching the kids. And Pinery has a ton of turkeys, and they were wandering through. And so in the beginning, she really didn't know that it was, you know, something else in the forest. And then when the cubs came through, they did scream. They scared it off. Haley put the captions in, but you can hear the kids talking like, well, we're just going to leave mom and dad. They're good. They got the dogs.
That's
my
right.
son said, well, I've got my paddle, you know, like they had the bear spray, their whistles, they had everything. They actually did leave us. We found out right near the end of the portage that they had scared off the mom and the cubs, and we wouldn't have even known about it. And they were great. It was amazing. And I love that video. It's a really good one to go back and show, like, they knew what they were doing. They weren't afraid. They were all paired up, and they just continued on, like just true camping kids.
Now, Marion, do you have a YouTube channel?
I have a channel. It's Haley. My daughter Haley does more of it. She's Wild Canoes. So that video that I'm talking about, I think she posted it on her channel.
Yeah.
So it's worth a watch. I mean, if you've got kids, if you're taking kids out into the wilderness and you're even hesitant, there's a lot of good things that can happen, and there's a lot of bad things or things that you can encounter. And I don't know. I just thought that was a good way to show that they can manage without you. And Kevin, I know like you when you're teaching that there's a lot of risk management, but there's not a lot talked about with families and taking younger kids out. So
yeah, I think I think that's why I like that video or that presentation. Was it was a scary incident, but you guys were laughing at it and it was fine. Like, it was just nature, right? It's like, but nobody refused to go back into the woods because of it. So
no.
and you know, if David didn't have his symposium, we would never have seen that show. So like, thumbs up to you, man.
Yeah. That was an all bear high for us. We counted 9 bear in the 4 days that we were on that loop right around Nellie and Grace.
Really? What?
There was 9. That was 9 bears that trip.
Was it the same bear?
No, we'd gone out for a day paddle and there was 2 on the shore. They were all over. It was a really dry year. I don't know and a good blueberry year, a really good blueberry year.
There was a bear symposium going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a totally different symposium. Okay. That's okay. Like, bear.
Yeah.
Bear with us.
You're quick, Kevin. You're quick.
I'm something.
Actually, I thought the moral of that whole story was just let mom and dad fend for themselves. They'll be fine. So,
Yeah, let the
That
kids go
was,
first. Yeah, they're expendable.
we can always get new parents.
Oh man, that's funny.
Now, that was another, and actually having Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, Marion, but I think Haley did her first presentation at the Canoe Symposium 2 years ago. Two symposiums ago, which isn't 2 years ago, but, and that's just all part of that, getting the younger generation involved, and you know. Oop! I hope we didn't lose Canoehound. Oh, there he is. He's back. Oh
no, he's gone. We should do something.
We can take over.
What should we do, Mary? Really? What we gotta do something?
Not world dominant.
I'm only drinking water, so I don't know.
Marion, are you able to get out winter camping anytime soon again? I know you just got back from Mew Lake, but
Yeah. We just got back from 8 days at Mew. I'm planning for a ladies' trip. Haley and I are trying to get something together for a ladies' hot tenting trip before the end of the month, hopefully. Either that or Dwayne or I will get out, maybe even just for a quick weekend in the snow trucker. But then there's Winter in the Wild, and that's another big, the next big winter camping event, I think, is up there.
Yep,
Unless,
family day.
Yeah, that'll be a good day too for the hot tents.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
If we get enough snow, of course. It's been a bad year so far, but you had a little bit of ice and
I'm back, Kevin.
Oh, he's back.
Marion said I should take my shirt off, but I said no. Not doing that.
Hey, somebody's talking about you in a Speedo now on the comment.
I can't read the comments because I'm on the other line.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, let's see if I can find it. Where did I just miss that?
Actually, Ashley was just over the other night, so yeah.
Yeah, geez. So I don't know. I missed a little bit there. Were you just talking? Because David, you just got back from winter camping yourself, right?
We did. We were up at McGregor Point for a couple of days, feeding the birds and just generally relaxing. Susan loves winter camping as long as it's park camping, and so that's our closest park. I guess there's Valens near Cambridge, but I'm not sure how much snow they would have. But no, we had a great time. We wish we had a little bit more snow. We couldn't do any of the other things they have there, like skate or snowshoe. But it was windy, but nice to get out and get away. And I was supposed to be going this coming weekend, but it looks like we're going to get rained out. So we'll have to give that one a pass.
Has anybody else got anything coming up soon, or Kevin?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of trips, but Christine and I were supposed to go after the New Year's for quite a few days up to Silent Lake and even the Kawarthas, and I just woke up the one morning and said we'd be sleeping in a puddle.
Yeah.
That's what we'd be doing. So, and I don't want her to hate it because she's only been hot tending maybe twice. And that's the worst thing to do is get someone to hate it. And so we did a bunch of day hikes, which is great. But I head out. I'm going to go to Frontenac Provincial Park next week to do some hot tenting on the north end. Chris Pruce and I keep saying her last name wrong, was going to do that, but she can't make it, so we're doing. She's taking care of Cedar, but so we're going to do that in February. We're going to do a trip. So I'm going to go with Zachary, I think his name is, friends of Frontenac. Oh, no, Frontenac Outfitters, sorry. And then I'm going to go up to Silent Lake. I go to Silent Lake a lot for winter camping because it's literally 40 minutes from my house, or the north part of Kawarthas. I don't teach students at risk again until mid-February, so this is my time of. I got some winter workshops going on in Halliburton, but the time I'm like, woo, woo, yeah. And I was on a rock station today talking about winter camping. And it was so funny being on our rock radio station, right? Because the music we played before you go on is the AC/DC Back in Black. It's like, this is a winter camper. And they're just like, why would you do this? And then I had to spend my entire time during the interview defending why I would do this. And I was like, whatever, go back to your music, okay. But this time was different. The host was from Timmins, and she moved to Toronto to do some radio stuff, and she got it. She completely got what I was talking about, so it was really cool.
And how about yourself, Marion?
I said my daughter and I we'll get out on a hot tent trip. I'd like to go back to Bruce, but I want there to be, some snow on the ground, at least a little bit more than what they had. Algonquin had snow. We did have, and we got a few centimeters when we were there over the 8 days. We didn't have that big rain that was forecast that had people canceling their plans. We didn't get any of that. We had some pellets. It was actually pretty nice. It was, it was mild, but the temperatures hovered around 0. You didn't have to run the stove all night. And it really wasn't as soupy there was a lot of puddles when people packed up, but it wasn't that bad. But I hope that they do need a little bit more snow up there. Definitely more to prevent the sleeping in the puddles on the ground, especially backcountry. Yeah.
Well, Marion, if I can get a chance now, I forgot. Christine was talking. I think she follows you on social media, and you were talking about Cypress Lake and Bruce Peninsula winter camping.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could winter camp there. So tell everybody about that.
You can camp there. So it's very basic. So they plow out one part of they don't plow it. They plow out the day use parking lot. And then they close all the campgrounds. So you can park in the, I think it's P2, and you haul into one loop. They allow one loop of the camping in there, and you can camp front country at Bruce. So you can also camp, and their backcountry fee station is like a great big shed, and you go in, and the backcountry sites that are listed at like Stormhaven are marked off, and you can cross off where you're going, so you know that there's what sites are available and so on. And the fee station is there. So it's just basic fees. There is no running water, and there's only pit toilets. There is no good supply of firewood either. So if you were going to do a hot tent, you need to bring your own wood sourced locally because it is on the peninsula. No, they did have, they had a very small wood shed, and it was just wood that had been cut within the park. So it wasn't seasoned, and it would only be suitable for an outdoor fire.
Oh, okay.
So it is very, very basic. It's very quiet. When Haley and I went 2 years ago, we were the only ones there for 4 days. And then on the fourth night, we came back from hiking all day, and she says, "I smell smoke." And I'm like, "Well, we didn't leave the shack going. It must be somebody in the campground." And sure enough, we snowshoed back up to the campsite. And there was one guy there, and he was right next to us. So the whole loop was completely empty, and he put up his tent right next to us. And
Safety in numbers. Safety in numbers.
Really, the whole loop.
That happens so many times.
Really quiet. Yeah, the whole loop, and you had to pick right next to us. But
Marion, we used to go there every November car camping, my buddy Mike and I, and you'd be amazed how many times that same thing happens. And there'd be 3 people in the whole loop, and 2 of them would be right beside each other and not know each other. You know, it's like, what is going on? You know, you've got the whole place to choose from. I will just jump in and say that we've had very good luck getting wood between the park and the town of Tobermory. There's probably 4 guys who sell good seasoned wood as you drive the highway into town, because that's what we've had to do in November, is pick up our wood once we got there.
It's wood and water would be the biggest issue. So if you go, that's what you'd have to be careful of.
Yeah.
And then your water freezing if you're bringing boiled, because the lake is so shallow. I don't know if you could get water off the lake in the winter. I'm not sure.
You'd be taking your life in your hands, I think, trying to get water out of there. Yeah.
Off a Cypress Lake. I don't know. It is shallow. I have walked across it frozen in a deep freeze. And even been out on the bay on the ice shelf too, when it's been really, really cold and frozen. It's beautiful. It's stunning. Like when we went, there was nobody out there. I think we saw 2 other people out at the grotto and at Indian Head. Like the population that go there in the summer, you don't get that in the winter at all. No.
My Lord, Dennis, you got your next guest right here. Look at that.
What? What'd I do?
She's a knowledgeable individual that knows.
Oh, I know.
Far more than
Nice to meet you, Marion, for sure.
She's an untapped resource.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
No, you know what? I'll go on record and say I haven't winter camped in years, and I'm actually going first weekend in February with the guys from Kid Products up to Mule Lake. So we're gonna go up there and freeze our behinds off, I guess, because I don't think any of us have hot tents.
What?
None of us have hot tents.
You won't freeze. You won't freeze. The group warming tent is there, so it's nice and warm in there, and they've got the fire pit going. Bring your
electric heater.
Yeah,
you can bring
they do have an electric site too. So, but you know what though, I last time I went winter camping was at Mule Lake, and it happened to be probably around 20 years ago, and I still got my 4-season tent, and I never froze. And mind you, I didn't use the 4-season tent. We dug out a Quincy. The snow plows made a pile for us, and we dug it out and made a Quincy. So,
cool.
But yeah, I'm not worried about it. But I really want to try this hot tent stuff. I really do.
I got one.
When's your hot tent?
I'll tell you. It's such a beautiful dry heat, and it's magical to sit in a tent like a snow trekker and have that fire going and get it so warm that you have to open the door.
Yeah.
Go down. Yeah.
Well, I got a buddy who, like a local guy. I know Kevin's offered me a few times there to use one of his tents, because you have what, several? 5?
No, I only have 4 now.
4.
Oh. I gave Andy my old one because he and his wife are going out, so I just gave him my old one.
Okay.
Because I owe him a lot, because he went on the meanest link with me, and I owe him my life.
But I've got a buddy who's offered me his too, so we'll see. We'll see. I know if I try one, I'm gonna have to buy one, and my wife might have something to say about that right away. So,
that's possible.
Yep.
Well, I know lots of people that are in the market, so
yeah, that's all right. But you know what, everybody, it's almost 9:20. We've had a great night.
Oh my Lord!
Gonna probably draw this to a close.
Every week I say I'm not going to listen to your show. I'm not going to be involved. Oh my God.
Kevin, you had to be on because I wanted to have guests on that were involved with David throughout the symposiums. So I hooked you in again.
No, you didn't hook me in. Dave, you're doing a good job. We had a good time back in the days of doing outdoor ed. You're a good person. I'm glad what you're doing I'm actually glad also you're retired and getting out in the woods more too. I remember last time we had a chat, you were just dying to get out there. So
yeah, no, that's all true. And I'm living the life now. I can't complain. So, that's and looking forward to April the 4th, and I get to see everybody again. So hopefully, Kevin, you can make it down, and if you can't, we'll see you in the future. Well, I'll see you at the Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yeah, no, I'm going. I've already scheduled for me to be there. I haven't got a ticket yet. I couldn't be at your winter one because poor Speedo Man's dad died. So I asked Ashley what he wanted, and he wanted me to take him in the woods for a few days. So yeah, we did that, and it was fine. But yeah, so it's going to be good.
I'll see you on. I'm speaking on the 22nd at the Outdoor Adventure Show.
I just got the confirmation today. I don't know if you did, but
yeah, I got mine today.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, wait a minute. So I get to videotape you again, being nervous and vomiting.
They are hard people to get a hold of. I've been emailing them almost every other day, because I want to get them on the show here, and not one reply.
Really?
Not one reply.
They're busy people. You got to know someone. Tell them you know Kevin Callan.
I'm not.
I'll get your response.
I got my reply probably after David. So
yeah.
I got mine. I bugged them and said, "Oh, I haven't heard yet, and it's fine." But
you know what? Erin probably got her reply like months ago.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, I got one last night.
Oh.
You speaking this year?
No, not speaking.
Oh.
No. I'll be. I'll do the blogger thing and
do the blogger thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, really. So, Dennis, you really should have Marion on and talk about the lacrosse trip they did.
Hiking the lacrosse trip.
What the hell? Did
you watch that?
I did. It was with popcorn in hand. It was sort of the night like woohoo.
Ask me if I'll hike it with Haley again. I don't know.
Well, Marion, you're welcome on the show anytime. We do open panel in the second half of the show, and you're welcome anytime. So that's
have her and her daughter on. That would be amazing to talk about that trip. The video, watch you guys. Like it's sort of this like, oh, that's interesting.
It was interesting to hear it from a younger person's point of view, I think.
Yeah.
How many YouTube channel is Wild Canoes?
What's that?
A YouTube channel is Wild Canoes. Your daughter's channel?
Yeah.
I will definitely be checking that out. Everybody else in the chat, feel free to check it out. So, David, in closing, really quick, details on the show and where they can get tickets.
April the 4th, University of Waterloo, Theatre of the Arts. Tickets are available at www.ontariobackcountrycanoe.ca.
There you go, everybody. So get the tickets fast because they are selling out very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Once I close out the show, if you four could stay around, or three could stay around, so that we'll just meet in the green room afterwards.
I gotta pee, man.
Well, you go ahead, man. You go ahead. That's where you hit the little stop cam in the bottom there and it hides you. Speaking from experience. Anyways, everybody in the chat, I'd like to thank everybody for popping into the stream tonight. David, you've been an awesome guest. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's great to know a little bit more about the symposium coming up. Kevin, thanks for being a regular on the show. Marion, very nice to meet you. And everybody else that was in the basically on screen with us tonight. Matt, of course. And don't forget, if you haven't already got your tickets to the the Ontario Backcountry Canoe Symposium, get them before the event's sold out. The link's in the description below. If you rewatch this video or any portion of it, and you can also find all the links to David's Facebook, Twitter, and a link to the website. And I'll double check and make sure we got the right website link up there. So make sure you follow them on those social media outlets and keep up to date with what's going on with that show. Let's see here. I'm reading notes, people. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show. We go live every Tuesday night. Love to have you all back again to watch or participate in the show. Next week's guest is Scott Lamont from Adrenaline Adventures, and we'll be talking with him. And then the week after, on the 21st, we have Friends of Temagami will be here, and we'll be talking to them about some of the issues that are going on in the Temagami region. So until next time, thanks again for joining us. I'm Dennis from Canoehound Adventures, and remember, people, does anybody know my slogan? No. Keep the adventures alive.
There you go.
There we go. Have a good one, everybody. Good night. See you next week.